It's time to get the chains out. Is your tongue tied up?
We love her music now, but pop star Demi Lovato says if she could have, she would have done things differently.
I just happen to be Captain Jack Sparrow.
Johnny Depp making news again as revealing new documents are filed in his $25 million lawsuit.
Jazz Jennings is here live with all the details on the upcoming season of her series I Am Jazz and updates on her journey as a transgender teen.
Jay-Z stepping out for some Soul Cycle after the birth of his twins.
And we're breaking down the winners, losers, and our favorite moments from last night's Bachelorette.
Peter, your word? Coitus.
Could I have that in a sentence, please?
The sound effects, they really punch up the jokes there. Happy Tuesday, people.com and Facebook Live. Great to see you. Lots to get to today, including some new J-Rod news. Lopez and Rodriguez were enjoying a romantic getaway in the City of Lights, which inspired our Facebook question of the day. We want to know which celebrity you most want to go on a romantic getaway with. Nothing creepy about this at all, but let us know in the comments below. First, here's what you need to know and what's trending today. Watch this.
Well, I'm very, very sad, but at the same time angry at the North Koreans. One of my representatives from my foundation, we worked very hard to get Otto released, was with a family in the last few days. Very sad because this is a wonderful family. This is a very fine young man.
That's Bill Richardson, former ambassador to the United Nations, in an interview with CNN, reacting to the tragic death of Otto Warmbier, the 22-year-old American college student who spent 17 months in a North Korean detention. The University of Virginia student was visiting North Korea in January 2016 when he was arrested and sentenced to 15 years of prison and hard labor for allegedly stealing a political propaganda poster from his Pyongyang hotel. Shortly after, Warmbier fell into a coma after allegedly contracting botulism. He was released and taken by a medical aircraft to the U.S. on June 13th after being, quote, brutalized and terrorized by the pariah regime, according to his family. Otto Warmbier passed away on Monday afternoon, and his parents opened up about their son's condition in a statement saying, quote, when Otto returned to Cincinnati late on June 13th, he was unable to speak, unable to see, and unable to react to verbal commands. He looked very uncomfortable, almost anguished. It goes on to read, although we would never hear his voice again within a day, the countenance of his face changed. He was at peace. He was home, and we believe he could sense that. Of course, our thoughts and prayers go out to that family. And now we move on to this. Watch.
I'm looking for a pirate, Captain Jack Sparrow.
Well, today is your lucky day. Because I just happen to be Captain Jack Sparrow.
Johnny Depp is making news again. The star's former business managers have just filed more documents in court, which include emails from the Pirates of the Caribbean actor, which reveal in part that he was willing to sell off some of his belongings to help his financial situation. Among the docs are emails from his managers asking Depp to, quote, take it easy on his spending over the upcoming holidays, to which Depp replied, quote, I am doing my very best on holiday spending, but there is only so much I can do as I need to give my kiddies and families as good a Christmas as possible, obviously within reason. Depp goes on to suggest that proceeds from his upcoming movies could help, and he offered to sell art, bikes, cars, property, and books. In January, Depp filed a $25 million lawsuit against his ex-managers Joel and Rob Mandel at TMG, alleging that they swindled him out of millions through fraud, breach of contract, and professional negligence. TMG fired back, labeling the actor a hopeless spendthrift who squandered millions on extravagances like fine wine and art against their advice. Depp's lawyers could not immediately be reached for comment. Make sure to stay on people.com as this story continues to develop. And now switching gears, take a look at this.
Being a black, I'm gonna get emotional. The pressures that I feel about being a black woman and what that is and how, I'm gonna talk about it. I get pressured from so many different ways being in this position. And I did not want to get into all of this tonight.
Tensions ran high on the latest episode of The Bachelorette as Rachel confessed to feeling the pressures of being the show's first African-American lead. Swiftly following his fight with Eric, Lee, who had already had his time with Rachel that night, interrupted Rachel and Kenny's one-on-one time. At this point, the other guys were starting to pick up on Lee's relentless dedication to stirring the pot, and they weren't pleased about it. In particular, Dean brought up the fact that Lee only seemed to be instigating drama with some of the other guys in the house, namely Eric and Kenny, who are both African-American. Now, after filming Wrapped, Lee was embroiled in controversy in real life when racist tweets allegedly from his private Twitter account surfaced. We'll see how Rachel decided to handle Lee on next week's episode of the hit ABC show. But first, we're recapping all the drama from this week's episode of The Bachelorette with former Bachelor Bob Guiney in just a couple of minutes. Stay tuned for that. Now moving on to this, Lorde has apologized after coming under fire for comparing her best friend Taylor Swift to an autoimmune disease in an interview with The Guardian this past Saturday. Now Lorde, describing her friendship with the very famous Taylor, said this: "It's like having a friend with very specific allergies. There are certain places you can't go together, certain things you can't do. There are these different sets of considerations within the friendship. It's like having a friend with an autoimmune disease." Now Lorde apologized on Twitter after a fan wrote to her saying she wonders how Taylor's friend Selena Gomez would feel about the comment. Selena suffers from lupus. Lorde tweeted that she, quote, "didn't mention Taylor, but regardless, I blanked up. That was really insensitive. I'm sorry." So she's trying to make it better.
Yes.
There you go. Good morning, Andrea.
Good morning. Happy Tuesday. Let's check in with Facebook Live. We're asking you what celeb you would most want to go on a romantic getaway with.
Maria says, "I wouldn't go on a romantic date with a celeb, but I would let a celebrity pay for me and my husband to go on a romantic date." I agree. That's a great
Edward
idea.
says, "I would go on a romantic getaway with Jennifer Lopez."
That'd be a lot of fun.
Yes, it would.
Apparently she knows how to do Paris well.
Yes,
so.
she does.
Keep the Facebook comments coming in. We'll check in with you again soon. But Andrea Boehlke, more for us in Star Treks.
Yes, Jeremy. Well, we are starting off Star Trek this morning with our girl, Demi. Check it out.
It's time to get the chains out. Is your tongue tied up? 'Cause this is not round.
Lovato says if she had the chance to start over again, she wouldn't have become involved in the entertainment industry so young. The 24-year-old singer was speaking at a press conference in Cannes, France, to YouTube's head of original programming. She explained, "I wouldn't start that young if I could do it over again. It was a difficult transition from child star to transforming into a mainstream artist. It's something that is very challenging." Demi went on to say, "You have to find your identity. For so long, you've been molded into something, and then you're expected to figure out who you are very fast in front of the entire world." Lovato is gearing up to introduce a different side of herself with a new YouTube docuseries called Demi Lovato, Simply Uncomplicated, that will premiere in the fall and follows her on a year-long journey. Excited for that. All right, rapper Jay-Z was spotted arriving at the Ronald Reagan UCLA Medical Center in Los Angeles on Monday, shortly after news broke that he was the father to twins. The new papa of 3 wore a plain white t-shirt with white sneakers and sweatpants to the hospital. The rapper apparently indulged in a SoulCycle class in Beverly Hills earlier in the day, a witness telling people he joined the class as it started and seemed very cheerful with lots of energy. A source confirmed to People on Saturday that Beyonce had given birth to twins. The singer's father, Matthew Knowles, confirmed the news himself on Twitter, posting a photo of balloons that read, "Happy birthday to the twins. Love, Granddad." The newest members of the Carter family joined 5-year-old big sister Blue Ivy. Safe to say we're already crazy in love with this super fierce family. Cannot wait to meet those twinnies. All right, moving on to this. Yacht sailing in Nice, casinos in Monaco, selfies at the Louvre, and yes, even ice cream near Notre Dame. Just another day in the life of Jennifer Lopez and Alex Rodriguez, of course. The red hot duo, who just wrapped up the romantic European vacation, visited France's most iconic spots. A source revealing to People, Jennifer loves France. She has been many times and was very excited about the vacation with Alex. Jennifer organized the trip and showed Alex her favorite places. They had the best week. The couple, who were not shy about sharing their adventures on social media, looked chic in both casual and more sophisticated ensembles, shopping around the city of lights hand in hand. A source tells People how the pair were particularly close to one another throughout the trip, continuously laughing, smiling, and holding each other's hands. The romantic getaway seems to squash any and all talk of recent cheating rumors. A source close to Lopez reveals they don't talk about the Alex drama. His lawyers are dealing with it. It's not affecting their relationship at all. Jennifer knows what's going on. Alex has been very honest. Jennifer has never felt more loved and taken care of than with Alex. He is her biggest fan. He supports and encourages her every day. She has nothing but amazing things to say about him. Love to hear that. Cannot wait to see where J-Rod jets off to next. And we are ending Star Treks today with a very special birthday shout out to Oscar-winning actress Nicole Kidman. The star turns 50 years old today and recently revealed to people that she plans on ringing in the milestone birthday with her kids, close family, and hubby Keith Urban. To celebrate, let's take a look at the Aussie star throughout the years. Watch this. And those are your Star Treks for today.
Stay with us, guys. We are breaking down all the drama from last night's Bachelorette with former Bachelor Bob Getty. Plus, Jennings is here live, opening up about life as a trans teen and giving a sneak peek of the new season of her TLC show, I Am Jazz. Stick around.
This is King Cutie in People. His Royal Highness Prince George Alexander Louis of Cambridge. These are George's parents, George's home, his Nana, the Queen, and his staff of 644 Englishmen. This is George's dog Lupo, who inspired his favorite book, The Adventures of the Royal Dog Lupo, one George will share now that he's a big brother. People. The details make the story. Don't miss this week's People.
Is this like your first relationship ever?
Yeah.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah.
I've still never been in a relationship. But like more and more each day, I consider myself pansexual. I used to be like 70% guys, 30% girls. I think I'm more towards like 50-50 now.
That's a scene from the upcoming season of TLC's award-winning show, I Am Jazz, and Jazz Jennings joins us live. Good morning.
Good morning.
So great to have you here.
I'm happy to be here.
Yeah.
Yes, we're happy to have you here. Okay, so we saw in that clip, you identify yourself as pansexual. For people that don't understand what that's like, how would you describe your journey with that?
I basically say that it's like love without limits. I love a person for who they are on the inside, regardless of their label, their sexual orientation, their gender. I just love people for who they are. So, I mean, I haven't really dated a whole lot. You've seen in the show that I've gone on a few different dates, but really, I'm still exploring my sexuality for sure.
All right, so that's what I was going to ask, how the dating life is going. So we saw what happened on the show, but is there a current update in real time?
There's definitely going to be some dates on the show that you'll see. And here's a little spoiler, I'm going to be dating in the dark. So that's very interesting.
Wait.
Yeah.
Why dating in the dark?
Yeah, how did this come about?
Hey, I'm not going to say anything else.
Okay.
But just tune in.
Okay, but we will see this on the new season.
Yes.
Okay.
I like that.
I'm very excited about that.
That's a very good tease. Thank you.
That's a good tease, right? It sounds interesting.
So you're 16 years old. Are you driving yet?
I have my license now, but when we filmed season 3, I did not. And we do some scenes where I'm driving and my mom just freaks out because honestly, I wasn't the best driver back then, and I almost hit trash cans and stuff, and it was not very good.
I'm a terrible driver too, so I totally relate.
Yeah, right.
Siblings are out of the house though, away at school. Does that mean that you're gonna have a car?
So yeah, I'm alone at home, and basically I just got this hand-me-down car that was my brother's car.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah,
That's how
hey,
I
I'm
started
cool with
too. Look, I've always felt like, my gosh, I'm lucky to even have it, and I'll take whatever I can get.
Yeah.
And I guarantee yours is cooler than mine was. I'll just,
Yeah, mine too.
Yeah, right. So look, season 3 of the show, it's almost here. There have been lots of headlines, of course, surrounding what you'll be going through in this season. You said that you'll complete the last step on your journey to becoming the person that you want to be. What is your biggest fear going into this sort of last phase of your journey?
I mean, there's definitely been a lot of complications in terms of the bottom surgery. We've been talking about it a lot, and you'll see in the show that there's some problems, especially because I've been on the hormone blockers, and basically I haven't had a lot of development. So we're, debating if I have enough material to work with. It's all this weird stuff, but it's been a journey for sure, and I haven't gotten the procedure yet, but in this season you'll see me going on consultations and finding the surgeon of my choice.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, how hard is it to put yourself out there and talk about something so personal and have everyone watch it?
Yeah, it's definitely very difficult, but I always say that someone has to do it in order to get the education out there. I feel like a lot of people are kind of ignorant to transgender issues, and it's important that we share our stories and allow our voices to be heard in order to kind of change those minds and open people's heart to the possibilities of who we are, you know? We're just people too.
So you're on the journey and you're talking about being on that journey, finding the surgeon, all that. What is your biggest fear about it, as far as like moving on as that process actually happened?
I mean, I think with any surgery, there's always fears. And I know my mom, she's especially fearful because she doesn't like me going under anesthesia and all that stuff. But for me, I'm not really worried about it. I'm actually kind of excited. This is something that I've always looked forward to. So I don't know, it's gonna be fun.
Yeah, obviously like a very big moment for you.
Yeah, you have a good attitude about it, because that would be a scary thing to go through.
Yeah, it's definitely a very serious procedure.
Yeah. You've been such an advocate for the transgender community. I know you're also a Survivor fan.
Yes,
correct?
I am. Of course.
You're in the right place.
Yeah,
My mom's been watching since season 1, so I've like watched seasons with her.
So obviously on my last season that just aired, there was this big thing where Zeke was outed as transgender. When you were watching that, you know, what was your reaction?
So my mom and I, we watched it live as it was happening, as many people did, and it was just insane. I was honestly so proud of Zeke for staying so composed, and his message was so authentic. It was just incredible, and I was like, this guy is just amazing. He has such a voice for our community, even turning this negative situation into something so positive. And you know, I kind of feel bad for Varner because obviously that was not the best thing to do. You never want to out someone, but I feel like he didn't mean to have those terrible intentions, but I'm still proud of Zeke for, you know, coming through.
Yeah. You're on this elevated platform and you get access to a lot of cool things, including public figures, like meeting President Obama. No big deal. Tell me what that was like, if you go back to that experience.
Okay, so that was crazy. So we were at the White House for the Pride reception, which doesn't really happen anymore, but, so we went into this room where a few people were getting to meet him, and we were first up, and we got to meet him, and we were told that we weren't allowed to talk to him, just take a picture and go. But then he started saying things like, oh, so you're in high school now, how is that? Oh, how old are you? Are you the same? You're the same age as my daughter. And then as we were leaving, we took the picture. Everyone was kind of rushing him. And as we were leaving, he said, I'm proud of you. And it was just such an incredible moment to hear the president say that he's proud of you.
Right.
It was really remarkable.
Yeah, that's something you're never going to forget. You also met Oprah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Your mom got to meet her as well, but there was an awkward moment, right? Tell us what happened.
Yeah, so we did the whole interview, and everything went great. Oprah was incredible. And then my mom, she wanted to meet Oprah as well, because she's Oprah. And, when she went in for the hug, I don't think Oprah was ready. So my mom kind of just went in, and it was like a single hug, basically. And she nestled her head on her breast, like a pillow, basically.
On Oprah's breast.
Yeah, on Oprah's boob. She was like, ah! And it was like a pillow, and Oprah was like, oh, no. It was this crazy lady. It was fun. It was fun.
Oh, that's really great. Well, I mean, there's a story that no one will ever forget, especially your mom.
My mom
and
on Oprah's boobs.
There's a good chance Oprah will never forget that, too.
Yeah.
She might have nightmares about it right now. Jazz, thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate you coming in. I Am Jazz returns to TLC with a 2-night premiere on Tuesday, June 27th at 10 p.m. Eastern, and will air the second episode at its regular time slot Wednesday, June 28th at 9 p.m. Eastern. And her new book, Being Jazz, My Life as a Transgender Teen, is available on June 27th. Good to see you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
This is Jennifer Lawrence in People. This is Jennifer photobombing Taylor Swift and Sarah Jessica Parker and Liam Hemsworth. Proving that while we all love the fashion of the red carpet, it's people who steal the show. People. The details make the story.
The only people that I've seen Lee pick fights with have been not the people that he's used to seeing on a daily basis from a cultural perspective.
What do you mean?
You know exactly what I mean when I say that. The longer Lee sticks around, the more everyone will become aware of his intolerance.
Well, even a week off of the NBA Finals was not enough to ease the tension for the men on The Bachelorette, as singer-songwriter Lee continues to cause drama.
Yeah, but luckily we found a man brave enough to relive all of the drama in our Toyota People Pick of the Day with us, Season 1 Bachelorette contestant and former Bachelor, Bob Guiney. Welcome back, Bob. Good to have you here.
I know. Nice to meet you in person.
I know. We've Skyped so many times.
Yeah, right.
We were talking about how the episode started out on a pretty heavy note with the tension that Lee caused in the episode, clearly getting to Rachel. Watch this, you guys.
Being a black, I'm gonna get emotional. the pressures that I feel about being a black woman and what that is and how I don't want to talk about it. I get pressured from so many different ways being in this position. And I did not want to get into all of this tonight.
Now, Bob, you are not a woman and you're not black, but you do know that both of those things are true. But you do know what it's like to go from being just a suitor to all of a sudden being the person handing out the roses. Yeah. What do you feel for Rachel as you see her going through?
Well, I mean, as a white guy, I felt a ton of pressure on that show, you know, because you don't want to hurt people's feelings just in general. But then you also feel like if you fall into any certain pattern of how you pick things, it's like stereotypical for who you are as a person, and so you're always trying to avoid that. And I think for her in particular, I mean, yeah, the elephant's in the room. Obviously, she's a black woman, the first black lead they've had on the show, which is long overdue. But at the same time, it's like, you know, she does have a lot of pressure because I think no matter what, she can't pick the right person. Sure. You know, there's going to be a group of people who are going to be upset with no matter what she does. And I think, you know, that comes with the territory from doing the show. But I think when you put, you know, the fact that, you know, she's a black woman in there, I think that adds the pressure.
I think her genuineness helps soften all that.
I do too. I love
real, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah, thinking back for you, what was the hardest part about this whole process for you?
Honestly, I think it was just, yeah, I felt like I was hurting people's feelings, and you know, I don't think this is any prize by any chance.
No, this is a prize, Bob.
Let's just put it out there. I mean, the other elephant in the room is sitting here. But I mean, you know, I didn't feel like I was any prize either. So it was like one of those things where you're like, I don't deserve to send any of these people. But you know, at the end of the day, it's one of those things where I think it's just a lot of pressure. Yeah. You know, you also don't want to be the person who tanks the franchise. It's been around. For me, I was the fourth Bachelor.
Early on,
this thing is going downhill fast. You know?
But here it is. You laid the foundation.
That's right.
We're going to talk a little more about Lee in just a minute, but let's talk about one of the high points in the episode first. Rachel's one-on-one date with Dean that saw them soaring high over Hilton Head, South Carolina. Let's take a quick look.
Oh my God. When Rachel started dive bombing our blimp, I lost a couple years off my life, I think.
I think this is amazing. Dean, I swear to God, if you don't do this, you're going to regret it. Get over here. Get over here.
Just don't kick any levers when you step over, please.
Oh, he's so cute. He's afraid of being in a blimp. I love it. I love this date. What did you think of this whole date?
I just got robbed when I was the Bachelor. I didn't get to do anything like that. I mean, look at that. They got to be in the Goodyear blimp.
Yeah, that is right.
And then, I mean, I just think she's adorable. I mean, I love how she gets genuinely excited about stuff. And
about him.
And about him. I like their relationship.
Specifically him.
Yeah, I like that.
Now, look, it seemed like, you know, Dean and Rachel, they connected well, especially after he revealed that really emotional story about how his mother had died. I mean, I was tearing up yesterday.
Yeah, I was too.
It was unbelievable. And so, look, he's the youngest suitor. There's this, you know, about decade or so, half decade age gap between them.
Yeah.
Do you think that affects things tremendously?
I think if, you know, she's obviously already in her head a little bit, you know, about what she's doing and who she's picking and things of that nature. So I think that could come into play. But at the end of the day, who cares? Their chemistry was great. And I think, you know, maybe have a younger guy. I mean, I've always, you know, my wife's quite a bit younger than I am, and I love her for that. Her energy and her enthusiasm for things is different than mine, you know, and so I really feed off of that. And, you know, I think that ultimately that could be a great thing.
I'm rooting. That's winner pick right there.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, the massive group date that Rachel ended up on next crashed harder than a Led Zeppelin. The men's competitive side really came out during rap battles, a push-up contest, and yes, even a spelling bee. Watch this.
Peter, your word? Coitus.
Could I have that in a sentence, please?
If you're lucky, you'll engage in coitus with the Bachelorette.
A man can only hope.
You're not getting an acquaintance.
Q-U-I.
Nope. No.
C-U-I.
No.
By the way, they made the kids put on earmuffs.
Thank God. Yeah.
Honest question: would you rather be stung by a bee or participate in that dumb?
I mean, I think I'm allergic to bees, and I'd rather be stung by a bee or whatever.
Than that, right?
So the Bachelorette's evolved a lot since you were on. The guys are really competitive, not just in the competitions, also just in the house. Do you think that the drama and competition that we're seeing between the men is normal at this point, or is it kind of elevated?
It's become normal, you know, for how the show goes. I mean, when I was on The Bachelorette with the guys, I mean, I hate to sound like the guy who, you know, I went uphill both ways to school barefoot and stuff like that, but we were genuinely friends. And I think the biggest difference was we also realized that she was going to pick who she was going to pick, so it didn't matter what was going on back at the house. We didn't have to beat each other at everything she's going to, you know, and she ended up with the right guy. I think, and a lot of that came from the fact that, we all were supportive of her finding a guy, and I knew it wasn't me halfway through the show. I was just glad to be there for the ride, and Ryan and Trista are still together to this day, so it was awesome. But it's become so competitive that I think it's really kind of crazy to watch this show.
It really is.
Yeah, I would not last a minute on.
A few of those guys on the boat kept the shirts on. I was like, that would be me.
Yeah. I would have been wearing the orange life preserver just to bulk up with layers.
Which we have a t-shirt over it. It brings us back to Lee, guys, who somehow survived the rose ceremony at the beginning of the episode and managed to cause even more problems. Watch.
Lee egging people on, instigating. You swim in that dark, heavy water, man, you just might drown.
What the hell? It looks like there's a fight that's gonna happen. Blood's gonna be shed. It's freaking me the hell out.
What now? What happened? What the hell is happening now?
Oh, Lee.
He's the worst. I'm surprised he's still there. I'm really sad that Diggy went home.
Me too, I like
How
Diggy.
shocked were you that Lee's still around?
So people always ask me this question all the time. They're always like, do the producers influence who you keep on the show? And truthfully, I was always like, no, they didn't. But I gotta believe that at this point, they're like, I mean, because these producers have to know what I would love to say some bad words.
Yeah, right.
Lee is.
Yeah.
Lee sucks.
Yeah.
I can't watch that show and not walk away thinking, God, if I met Lee somewhere, I'd love to fight him. And I'm not even a fighter.
Yeah, I was gonna say, even when she's giving him the rose and saying his name, it just seemed like she didn't want him there.
And the whole room was kind of like, ugh.
Yeah, right. And he even admitted that he wants to manipulate. He wants to like stick it to everyone and like cause problems. Anyway.
Yeah, stirring up the sauce constantly.
Well, here's a question for you from your perspective. How do you think Rachel feels about Lee now that it's airing and she sees all those interviews and things?
I can't even imagine.
Not there.
The hardest part about being on the show is that you don't see what goes on, on the other side of the coin. And I can only imagine what she's going through right now watching it. I remember there was a girl on my season who everyone was like, oh, she's trouble, but I really liked her. And then when you watch the show and you're like, I guess she is kind of trouble.
Turns out they were right.
Yeah, I can only imagine what she's got to be going through right now watching this guy just basically, he's not there, obviously he's not there for her, because if he were, he would just swallow it a little bit.
Musician, all that stuff. You got to think, here's a guy
I can't believe he hasn't brought out his guitar like the guy on last season who just strummed.
I think it's on the way. It's on the way.
Next episode. All right, Bob, thank you so much for being
Thanks,
here.
guys.
Thank
Yeah, it's great to see you.
We're excited to watch you in just a little bit on the Today Show.
Thank you.
And guys, be sure to watch ABC's The Bachelorette 2 nights next week on Monday and Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern. That is a lot of drama.
This is Jennifer Lawrence in People. This is Jennifer photobombing Taylor Swift, and Sarah Jessica Parker, and Liam Hemsworth. This is Jared Leto in People, photobombing Anne Hathaway, and Reese sneaking one in on Sophia and Joe. This is Dustin Hoffman, photobombing the dame herself, Judi Dench, proving that while we all love the fashion of the red carpet, it's people who steal the show. People. The details make the story. Don't miss this week's People.
All right, guys, let's check in with. Oh, is it you? Let's check in with Facebook Live one last time. J-Rod went on a romantic getaway in Paris, so we want to know the celeb that you would most want to go on a romantic getaway with.
Lots of options here. Justin says Brie Larson is someone I want to be on a romantic getaway with. And Dana said I could only pick one celeb. I have too many to choose.
Jeanette says romantic getaway with Matt Damon. Letty says I think she's saying it like that, sort of. Letty says romantic date. Oh, so many, but I think Adam Levine, Vin Diesel, and Aaron Lewis. Wow. Letty has some high hopes.
Emily says Leonardo DiCaprio, another high hope.
Yeah.
Julie says John Cusack or Scott Eastwood.
There you go. All right. I like that. Guys, coming up tomorrow, in honor of Prince William's 35th birthday, we're revealing everything he and son Prince George have in common. Plus, the always hilarious Anthony Anderson joins us live. Very excited to have him here and talk about Blackish and To Tell the Truth and much more.
Yes, thanks for watching. For now, we leave you with one last thing from Book of Henry star Jaden Lieberher. Enjoy.
Bye, guys.
Hi, I'm Jaden Lieberher, and this is One Last Thing. My last family vacation was when I went to France with my mom, my aunt, and my grandma, and then we also visited Italy afterwards. The last time I was starstruck was when I was at the Golden Globes, and I saw J-Lo. She was very beautiful. The last TV show I binge watched was Master of None with Aziz Ansari. It was so good, so funny.